Thank you so much for being here in person today. We're so happy to have you, and thank you to everyone that's tuning in online. So you can follow us at Rainforest AB or at Rainforest YEG. So I want to start off with an introduction to the rainforest and a land acknowledgement. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Bikini, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. For those in the Edmonton area, we acknowledge the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. We also want to acknowledge anyone that isn't in the Calgary area. Please feel free to drop that in the Zoom chat as well. And if you're interested in sharing your own land acknowledgement, please let me know. We'd love to have you share your own. So what is the rainforest? Well, we have a super awesome video for you to watch and check out.
What does it take to realize an idea or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
Awesome. So we use 6 pillars to guide our conversations and actions. And so not all are weighted equally. Like any ecosystem, the right balance is crucial. And these are measured each year through our scorecard assessment. As you know, we just launched our scorecard assessment. And right now we are looking to action the items in our scorecard assessment. You can find it on our website, and feel free to reach out to me if you want to have a conversation about that as well, or if you want me to send you the report, happy to do so. And each week we highlight a new social contract value. And this week it's pay it forward. So I agree to pay forward whatever positive benefits I receive. For every introduction I get, I will provide an introduction to another person. For every hour of advice I receive, I will give an hour of advice to someone else. For every risk someone takes with me, I will take risk with a different person. So today, going forward into Lunch Without Lunch and into your day, just think about how you can pay it forward to someone else. And then I wanted to make a quick mention of the Startup Calgary events page. There's lots of really cool events coming up, especially Tech Talent Tuesday and Discover Tech YYC, which will be in person here at Platform Calgary. So today we are joined by a super awesome panel that are going to talk about Web3 and cryptocurrency and all the exciting things that are happening across Alberta. And I am very, very excited to introduce them. So we're joined by Shannon Lanigan, who is an ambassador for Surge Women. We're also joined by Brett, Mackenzie, and Eugene, who are here to share with us some awesome insights. So I'm going to pass it on to Shannon, who will introduce us to everyone.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming today and for tuning in. I'm going to do, like I said, a little short, brief intro into Web3, what it is, what is crypto, why does it matter, why you should be paying attention. So nice to meet you. This is me and my PFP NFT. I'm a design strategy consultant in real life. So I've worked with corporations across 3 continents, helping them in organizational strategy, in brand alignment, interior design across their corporate offices. I'm a co-founder of an organization here in Calgary called the Design Talks Institute. We host conversations about art and architecture, design, and the built environment, and why that matters. And I'm the owner of a company called Render Design Services. We're a 3D rendering studio in the visualization space. I'm also an ambassador for Surge Women, and we'll get a little bit more into what Surge is and what Surge is doing for women in the crypto Web3 space. And currently I'm on the event experience team working with Kraus House DAO. They're a DAO that's set to have ownership stake in an MBA team. So I'm working with them on their event experience team for NFT NYC. So this is a little video that we made up. Here locally, Janice Ng helped me to create this video. This is all content for Surge, and so I hope you enjoy.
Assuming we're having some technical difficulties. Just check in with Amber here. Adrian, the chat today is about Web3 and crypto. He's just asked me that in the chat. We've got a panel of those involved in educating folks on Web3. Awesome. Feels like clicking on a stone with the play button on it. Yeah. Jackie, to answer your question, I'll take advantage of this lull, I guess, to share that, yes, the last Wednesday of every month is a hybrid event now for Lunch Without Lunch. So you can join in online or in person. It has been held at the Platform Innovation Center.
Many people have heard of.
Oh, almost there. It has been held at Platform, though we're looking at rotating it throughout the city.
Web3 is a very new and challenging concept that many people have heard of but is unfamiliar with. Have you ever heard of blockchain, crypto, or NFTs? Those are all a part of Web3. Surge was created to establish a safe, empowering community to educate and secure women's place in Web3. But what is it? Web3 is built using blockchain technology. Like the name suggests, it is essentially a chain of blocks that contains digital information. In simpler words, a digital database where anyone is free to join and participate. It allows every client in the network to reach consensus without ever having to trust each other, which is what makes it work. Data is collected until it fills a block. When someone creates a new block, that block is sent to everyone on the network. Each server then verifies the block, and if everything is good, it gets added to the chain. If blocks have been tampered with, then it will be rejected by the other servers. The unique thing about blockchain is that it's decentralized, open, and cryptographically secure. This means that the blockchains are distributed across all servers so anyone can access the data on their personal computer. So even if most of these servers fail, the network can still be rebuilt from one server. There's no central authority figure that makes decisions. All transactions are transparent, and any sort of identity, transactions, wallets, and blocks are secured. Each block contains the data, the hash of the block, and the hash of the previous block. A hash can be thought of as a unique identifier of that block and its content, just like a fingerprint. Once a block is created, then a hash will be generated. So changing the data will change the hash. If the fingerprint of a block changes, then it is no longer the same block. All subsequent blocks will then become invalid. This is why data in the blockchain is immutable. The fact that no one can change data means that we can all trust it. Every blockchain is different, and data stored inside a block depends on the type of blockchain. This is where cryptocurrency comes into play. You might have heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Both of those are a form of cryptocurrency, a digital version of a currency. It can come in the form of tokens, and new ones can be created. And with those tokens, it allows people to buy, sell, convert, and manage crypto assets. If it was a Bitcoin blockchain, it would store transaction details. Just like how data in the blockchain no longer requires an intermediary, cryptocurrencies allow people to send money almost instantly without involving a bank. But what's the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum? Bitcoin is the first blockchain network, which opened a peer-to-peer, decentralized cryptocurrency network. Many people invest in Bitcoin, receive payments for goods and services with it, or use the networks to send money all over the world. Essentially, it allows individuals to transact directly with one another. If, say, you lived in Canada and you want to send money to your friend in Europe, you could do so without a bank and its associated fees. With banks, there are regulations and laws that can change, or the risk of corruption and collusion that makes people not trust the global financial system. The code and cryptography involved in the Bitcoin network is designed to make collusion or fraudulent activities extremely difficult. This is why so many people trust cryptocurrencies. You trust the network rather than the humans that run it. So is Ethereum like Bitcoin? The two are very similar, but rather than it being just a currency like Bitcoin, it is also a technology. So technically, you can get software directly from the blockchain. When you buy Ethereum cryptocurrency, known as Ether, that transaction record is added to a block as data. When a block is full, then it gets added to the chain, showing a record of all the interactions. Whereas Bitcoin blocks only hold transaction data, Ethereum network also holds software programs known as smart contracts. They facilitate a service between you and someone else without involving lawyers or bankers, and instead do everything themselves by programming all the rules that describe what the smart contract will do. Users can then interact with it by submitting transactions that causes it to execute a function laid out on the contract. Simply, Ethereum is a blockchain network full of software. One of the most popular uses of Ethereum right now is for building, buying, and sharing NFTs. NFTs, also known as non-fungible tokens, are everywhere, but few know what they are. Whereas Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies are fungible, which describes an asset that is interchangeable with other assets of its kind. NFTs are non-fungible, meaning that every NFT is unique. It can't be replaced with any other object. So NFTs can only be owned by one person or wallet at any given time. Just like a token in the real world, a token can be a digital representation of a value, access rights, or even ownership of an intellectual property or documents. For example, a Starbucks gift card or redeemable vouchers. NFTs, however, are much more secure because, again, they are built using blockchain technology. Imagine you're buying a painting. The gallery presents a document verifying the authenticity and ownership of the painting, but that can easily be forged or tampered with. In contrast with an NFT, you can easily verify who and when it was created, and check the history of transactions for that NFT in the blockchain. Now, how do all of these relate to Web3? Web3 is a loose concept that rests on blockchain technology and is constantly shifting in meaning. It involves all the digital social systems we build using blockchain, which includes both crypto and NFTs. Currently, the majority of our online interactions happen within the confines of tech giants like Google and Facebook. They're generally free and available to the vast majority, but there are also issues with data privacy, security, censorship, and many more. Web3 is the proposed solution to remove these shortcomings of the current stage. With Web3, you are the sole owner of your data and identity online. Just like blockchain, Web3 will be decentralized, open, trustless, permissionless, and secure.
So I don't know if anyone else has tried to explain Web3 in 6 minutes, but there it is. I hope that it gave kind of a broad overview. If you're in the space and you know what you know, it is a really good intro. And if you don't know, then this gives an opportunity for you to explore and learn a little bit more. I wanted to kind of highlight the use cases in NFTs. Although there's been a lot of negativity in the press about NFTs, and people think about it as a Bored Ape, or they think about it as a, you know, like why do I want to own a GIF? But Ethereum and the smart contract has opened up this amazing ability to support the creator economy. And I think that that in itself is super, super powerful, giving the creators of content the ability to share in the profits of that content as it's distributed. And, you know, if you start to look at this, there's so many opportunities here. And I think that there's many people that are working in this space, many interesting organizations and corporations and things being developed around these NFTs, that I think that that's the use case, and that's kind of why it matters. And so, yeah. Also, in addition to this, there's an ability to start building decentralized organizations. So leveraging the power of community, people who have like-minded interests, bringing them together to help build successful companies. And this is another way to kind of offset the corporation or the corporate culture. So there's a few that are happening and going on in Alberta right now. I encourage you, if DAOs and decentralized organizations and building community and meeting people that are like-minded interests you, there's a couple that are growing here within the Alberta ecosystem. So the Great Canadian Web3 Community is one, and I have links to all of these afterwards if anyone has interest, and Mission 47. So open to all curious and passionate Albertans that seek to leverage Web3 to innovate and advance our community. Diversity and inclusivity are foundational to success. And most importantly, I think that the reason that I'm here and the reason that I wanted to introduce this concept to rainforest ecosystem is because there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's a bit of wild, wild west. And I would encourage you to really get educated, but get educated with the right groups, the people who don't actually have a lot of individual interest or profit to be made off of you learning within this ecosystem. So the Canadian Blockchain Consortium is doing some pretty amazing work. They've got great resources on their website, ethereum.org. Where better to get the content than someone who actually built the blockchain and the actual smart contracts. And then also Curious Addies Trading Club, if you want to learn more about NFTs, they're a really great onboarding organization to just teach you the real basics. And then of course Surge, where we're trying to onboard women into that Web3 space. We have a Discord community. We just finished launching our PFP project, and there's many great things happening for the Surge community and for women in general in Web3. And WAGMI, we're all going to make it. That's the hashtag. That's where I'm going to end today. These are some of the links of some of the groups that I spoke about. And thank you. So I didn't want to do this presentation today and then just speak about myself and about Surge. I really wanted to also introduce you to other groups that are doing things here locally. So the next group I want to introduce you to is Web3 Calgary and Mackenzie and Eugene. So come on up, you're the next contestants.
Hello, hello. We're excited to be here. My name is Mackenzie Putici. This is Eugene Fernandes, and we're the co-founders of Web3 Calgary. This is a pretty new organization, but we are excited to see what Calgary can handle and can throw at us because we think there's a lot of opportunity here. Oh, we're clicking away. All right, so yes, it's all about community. That's really what we're doing. So we're not like a blockchain ourselves. We are not here to tell you to buy a certain token. We're really just trying to bring people in Calgary together to learn about Web3 network and get access to different opportunities. So we're so excited to be here for that. Hold on, let's see if I can work this. Here we go. So how do we get into Web3? Believe it or not, until a couple of years ago, my whole life revolved around wine and hospitality. I'm a certified sommelier, and I was involved in teaching foreign languages, traveling. So why would someone like me end up in Web3? Well, I got curious about the technology. That video that Shannon showed earlier about how Ethereum creates these smart contracts and allows us to trust the network to basically execute funds being sent around, showing digital authenticity of property and digital files. So I was like, oh, this is fascinating. This idea of kind of programmable money. We can send things, without necessarily using some sort of intermediary. So I bought a little bit of Ethereum, Ether, a little bit of Bitcoin, and kind of got involved a few years back, and then started going down the proverbial rabbit hole of, okay, how does this blockchain work? What is this consensus mechanism? And as I got into this, I got quite heavily involved in some communities on the audio-only app called Clubhouse. And that's where I got linked up with a lot of developers, community managers for some of these major blockchains, as well as some DeFi projects and NFTs. And I started purchasing a couple NFTs, as well as now have been able to start minting some NFTs that fuse my old world and my new world. So they are polka potions or cocktail NFTs. And I've been working with a group out of Berlin and San Diego to kind of bring up this initiative. So I kind of, more or less got curious, got involved financially, put a little bit of my skin in the game, which is something Eugene always says to me. And then was able to say, okay, how do we go from just pure finance and tech to something more cultural, more community driven? And then over the last couple months, we've been able to take that further with Web3 Calgary, which we're going to tell you all about. But before we do that, I'll let Eugene introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eugene Fernandes. I'm also a co-founder of Web3 Calgary. The way I got into this space was after I listened to an episode on the Tim Ferriss podcast with Balaji Srinivasan. They were talking about how Web3 and blockchain technologies can change the world for the better. I was living in Montreal at the time, and I realized that many of the issues that were coming up that I was seeing were caused by technology changing the incentives that face citizens and politicians and people in the world. But that also meant that the solutions to those problems are native to the technology as well. So I moved to Calgary to escape from the curfew and then the vaccine passport, because Jason Kenney had promised that he would never bring one in. And then 15 days after I booked my ticket, he brought one in. So I respun my story and made it about how if there's one province that is going to be super bullish on crypto and Web3, it'll probably be Alberta for 5 main reasons. One is that we have a similar culture from my perspective. I think Alberta is perceived as being generally libertarian, and so is crypto and Web3. We also like decentralization, and so does Web3. It's a big thing. Industry, we have an oil and gas industry, and one thing that Bitcoin mining can do is make flared gas, which is gas they burn off because it's not profitable to move it to cities. They can use that flared gas to mine Bitcoin. And that way you are saving more CO2 from entering the environment because it's being used to turn it directly into money. So you can think of Bitcoin mining sort of as a battery. And that's what's making all of these wells of gas that would otherwise be wasted profitable. Regulations, we're very friendly to tech and crypto because we really want to diversify our economy here. Binance, probably the biggest crypto company in the world, just started to move over to Calgary, which is really saying something. Amenities, we're a great place to live. Calgary is like an awesome city. We have great swimming pools, leisure centers, bike trails, all of that. Edmonton, I'm not so sure, but you know. And history, we've actually started our own currency here in Alberta in 1935. The government of William Aberhart created these things called prosperity bills. It got shut down after a year, but the spirit was there. You know, we can make our own currency. We could probably do it again. Brett might say something about that in a few seconds. So that's why I moved to Calgary and why I'm still here. I thought that there would be like a big crypto community when I got here, but I came here and I didn't find that. So I figured I'd just build it myself. And then I met Mackenzie at a networking event and he was super interested in it. So we decided to make Web3 Calgary. And our two goals are to build community and to educate people about crypto and Web3.
Yes. So in terms of the two goals, they are simple, but hopefully effective. Because Web3 is decentralized and a lot of people do work from home, from computers, from devices, it can be a little bit isolating and alienating. So we really did want to find a way to build community in person, especially after the pandemic, keeping us apart for a couple of years. So we've really been happy with the result of getting people together, seeing that kind of little ping, that light go off as two people who have a shared passion or maybe spark an idea in one another, meet in the same room. And I believe, we try to do this in person as much as we can, but it should be encouraged to kind of extend and continue in the digital realm and decentralized realm as well.
The way that we build community is we have socials. The way that we educate and onboard is we have these meetups. They used to be bi-weekly and we're going to change that around a bit, but I'll speak about the meetups. The idea behind it is that unless you are a developer, the best way to learn about Web3 is to just put your skin in the game. That's how I learned about it. I'm not a developer. It was just putting in $100 into Bitcoin and watching go to 112 and then down to 95 and then down to 85. And then I got concerned, curious about the technology underlying it. And so that's how I got into it. But the idea behind the show and tells is that someone shares a project that they have personally invested in and share the risks, the opportunities, what their experience has been like with the community. So we've done show and tells on all of these. Anchor Protocol, that's where actually I met Shannon, and last week it just completely blew up, so that was perfect. But show and tells is what we do to build, to educate and onboard, and for us to build community, we also have socials.
Yes, so our first Web3 social was March 25th, and it was a blast. We managed to sell it out. It was a small-ish venue, but that's what we wanted, cozy and intimate. And the theme was the future of Web3. So we really wanted to see, where's this going, and can we inspire people to kind of take the reins and take a stake in the future of Web3 as we build it. We had 4 speakers on a panel. We covered play to earn gaming. We covered DAOs. We covered NFTs. What else am I missing? Yeah. Anyway, so great community building activity. We had our panel. Pizza was given from the Pizza DAO, who I actually met down in Denver at the ETH Denver conference. If you don't know about the Pizza DAO, they are a very fun DAO in that the mission is to give pizza to people, and the idea is pizza should be free. So they sell NFTs of pizza box art, use that to throw an annual global pizza party, and sponsor Web3 events and conferences around the world. So we got them involved, which was awesome. We had a bunch of great networking going on, and we used a POAP, which is a proof of attendance protocol. Say that 3 times quickly, NFT. And basically, it's kind of like collecting badges. So people could come get a badge and check it out. So that was our last social. We have another social coming up, which I'm going to let Eugene talk all about. Oh, I have some cool photos from our last social, if I can work this. Aha, pizza in hand. This is the panel here.
We had 50, 60 people show up to that one, and that was our first event. This next one that we're going to have is on June 10th, so 17 days away. We're aiming to get 80 to 100 people. Hopefully, we'll see all of you in the audience there. It'll be at Rail Yards, Work Nicer's place. There will be pizza. There will be a panel of speakers. Right now, we have Kyle Kaplanis. He's a TikTok agent, and Rogan, who works for Figment. He's a developer. Yes. Well, definitely Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't know if we go on Facebook. We also reach out to calendars like Startup Calgary's calendar, word of mouth. We've asked the speakers if they could help us promote it, so on their networks as well. It's mostly that. Does that QR code work? You'll just have to.
Nice.
And if you use this discount code Rainforest, you'll get 35% off. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Yes. Yeah, so if you can make it out, fantastic. If not, feel free to hit us up on social media, LinkedIn, if you want to get connected with certain people. We can definitely facilitate that, and always want to learn about people and what they're doing in Web3 here in Calgary.
Web3 YYC on all of our social media platforms is how you can find us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brett Boyden, Policy Advisor to Doug Schweitzer, the Minister of Jobs, Economy, and Innovation. And I'm here today to talk to you about grants, which I'm sure you're all very excited about, so I will keep it brief, but just kind of to pre-position it for you all, I just have some comments I'd make on the YC letter that came out over the weekend, because I did not necessarily understand what the current economic climate meant for founders and for startups until I read through this letter and saw a comment on LinkedIn by Mickey Multani, the co-founder of Poutine Swap right here in Calgary. So kind of a couple things I took away from it as a policy advisor, that things don't look good, money is going to be hard to come by, and there will be opportunities out there. So the question then from a policy perspective becomes, what is the government currently doing that can help? And what should we be doing instead? And what isn't helping in this situation? And so to kind of frame that, I have a couple of opportunities that or businesses that are kind of coming about here in the province that I think will represent possible opportunities for a lot of other people to get involved or to participate in Web3. And so the first one here is the Trident Security Token platform. And so what it is it'll be a way for businesses that are not Web3 or crypto natives to issue a security token easily, just as they would issue shares or something like that in a stock exchange. So you can imagine for a company, like in forestry or mining, that may have no interest in crypto necessarily whatsoever, but they also have that stigma that may make it hard for them to fundraise because they're an extractive company. You can see how something like this, where they then have access to those global markets, would be incredibly helpful and a huge opportunity for anyone to get involved that wants to with it. And carrying on in that vein, the next one is the My Health Data Exchange project that's put forward by the Digital Supercluster. And so what this is it will let individuals own their health data. It'll let them own all their personal data in a way that they can then choose who they want to share it with, who they want to use their data, what research they want done with that data, what causes they want to support. You can imagine if you look here at some of the things they talk about here, they mention diabetes, hypertension, disease prevention. That's something that's of interest to people around the world. And this ability then, if you're someone who suffers from a disease and you're in a country where there may not be a lot of potential for research to be done, this is something that then maybe you can see these global networks of people that are able to put their data together to get research done in a way that isn't necessarily being done right now in our current situation, where data is just siloed everywhere and where research data is really only useful for the project it's commissioned for right now. So if you're doing research, you can go look at research that's been done previously, but chances are whatever data you're going to produce will not work with the data that's already been collected. Whereas with a platform like this, that will be in there, that will make it so that you can have this body of data that just exists, that's research, that's curated, that people work on, and that will lead to all kinds of solutions. You can see a couple of the things there: biomarkers, genomics, wearables. It's easy to imagine what solutions could be produced if we had that kind of data, right? All you need to solve an issue is the right kind of data. And then the third one I want to talk about is something called Elixir. Now, Elixir, in the same vein as the previous two platforms, is an agreement among a number of the post-secondaries here in the province to commercialize IP specifically to VR. And there's a lot of information up there. And so I'll try and share this with you all after, since I'm not going to go through it right now, you'll all get bored, but you can imagine anyone who's ever worked in academia or gone to university or college, educators are there to educate. But at the same time, they produce IP, their students produce IP, and it doesn't necessarily get used beyond that in the current system. Whereas a program like Elixir makes it so if you're a professor and you and your students produce some IP and you just want to keep educating, they want to keep learning, this program will let that IP get commercialized in a way that benefits the people that worked on it and the institution the work was done at without distracting from education, which is the most important thing in this space right now, in my opinion. So what resources are available to capitalize on these opportunities? So this is where we're going to start talking about some of the grant opportunities that are available. And I have a couple examples up there for you. So the first is the Alberta Innovates voucher program. And there are two of those, micro vouchers and the regular vouchers. One is good for up to 10,000 and one is good for 100,000. And they are to hire a specific service provider or to achieve a specific outcome rather than just kind of traditional grants or anything like that. And then the next is the MyTax Accelerate Entrepreneur. And so what that is that's a program where you can essentially get an internship covered to get a researcher to come in who can do research for you. Or if they already have research, maybe you're a company that can provide the business to go with the research. And they're available, they start at 4 months. You do have to pay a small portion of it, but it's much better to get your research done in-house from one of our world-class facilities if you can, than going out and looking at research that's already been done or trying to develop that capacity in-house, since as we know, resources are going to be even harder to come by in the future. And the kind of last big one is the Strategic Innovation Fund that the Government of Canada established a few years ago. And I'll go into more detail on that one because it's an interesting one, but for now I'll just comment on the two sizes there. So you can see they've funded projects from $300,000 to $415 million, just to give you a sense of kind of the range of programs that have been supported through that fund so far. So the Alberta Innovates vouchers, so you can apply for up to 100,000, and that can cover the cost of 3 service providers, or you can get a micro voucher for 10,000, and that will cover 1 service provider. The applicant has to pay 25% minimum of the project costs. But what I like about this one is this is what you report back. This is your reporting on this grant. So if you're an entrepreneur or a founder and you're looking for funds, but you don't have someone in-house to write grants all day for you, to get back to people, to report them, something like this might be a good option because it's not a whole lot of work. It's not going to take a long time to fill it out. You're not going to have to worry about making a mistake and getting even more paperwork to deal with. It's quick and it's easy, and you discuss it when you get the grant up front so expectations are clear. And Alberta Innovates is there to help business succeed, not to produce a bunch of paperwork and keep everyone tied up in filling out paperwork and approving it. And so they stick to that, and I'd encourage anyone looking for grants at this time for anything to consider Alberta Innovates for that. And so now to the MyTax one. Now the MyTax has a little bit more paperwork involved. As you can see there, you have to submit a few more forms, and you do have to be in an approved incubator already. You can't just kind of go to the website and decide, oh, hey, I'd like to get a researcher. You have to be in that ecosystem. You have to have the approval of the incubator as well, or at least their support. And so here's a list of some of the approved incubators in the province for the MyTax program. And if any of you, this list is kind of big and there's a much larger one online. So if any of you have any questions about those, go to the MyTax website and you can find all the info you'll need right there. And now the Strategic Innovation Fund. So this one, really the only thing I'm going to comment right now on it is that you have to tie it back to the strategic objectives. And then I'm just going to point out strategic objective number 4, promote growth and the creation of good jobs across the Canadian economy. That's a pretty broad target that should be easy to hit for anyone. So go ahead and look at that and see if it's something that you could be eligible for. And here are just some of the most recent companies that did get the grants. Now they are larger when you look at the total project costs than the first slide I showed where there was mention of the $300,000 program. So that is something to be mindful of, that they may have shifted over and are preferring to see kind of larger, more almost real world applications. But if you're a founder or you're in blockchain and you're already looking at real world applications, this could be very attractive in terms of getting a partner, saying, you know, going to a big company, a big energy company, a big forestry company, and saying, hey, you know, there's this fund that's providing significant amounts of money for these large projects. And all you have to do is do something innovative. And then that's pretty attractive to those companies. If you can show them, I'm an established actor, I've done this, or other companies have done this. And look, we can get the government to chip in quite a bit of money for it because we can prove it's good jobs that will help everyone in the country one way or another. So for any more information on these grants or resources, there's a bunch of groups up there active here in the province or Western Canada, everything from the Supercluster to the Canada Innovation and Investment Agency, Edmonton Global, ATB, the University Hospital Foundation. We have all kinds of agencies, groups, and networks here in the province that are ready and waiting to help out when it comes to this kind of stuff. And if you're looking for partners, U of A and U of C are well known for being world-class institutions, but I have been out across the province visiting some of the smaller places, and I can guarantee that if you can't get an answer from U of A or U of C, go to Bow Valley, go to Lethbridge College, go to NAIT. They're just as smart, they're just as well trained, and you'll be able to work with them there. And then you know what, it may even be a little bit cheaper going to somewhere with a less known name because you're just paying for the work rather than the brand in that sense, which again is probably something attractive to a lot of people, especially as the economy continues to either get better or worse over the next little bit. Then another group of partners, if you think you can do something in healthcare, there are 16 strategic clinical networks across the province that encompass every facet. So if we go online and look at them, they are there, they are waiting, and they just want to increase clinical outcomes. That is their goal. And if you think you can help with that, then they want to hear from you. And if you don't think you can help with that, then find another company that can, and then go find the clinical networks. It's really easy. If you have the capacity only to do a little part of this, only to solve, you know, half a problem, go find someone else who can solve the rest, and then go find a university, go find a clinical network, go find a regulator, go find someone like that who's dealing with the problem and work with them on it. And then find grants and get the government to pay for it. It's a very simple process if you can do it that way and find the right partners and the right problems to solve. And I think those grants that we discussed do a pretty good job of kind of guiding in terms of these are the objectives to achieve, et cetera. Awesome, thanks everyone.
Awesome. I want to say a big thank you to Shannon, Mackenzie, Eugene, and Brett for being here today. We have a little bit of time for questions, if anyone has any questions for them. I'm going to check online quickly. No? Okay. Well, if you do have questions, hopefully they can stick around and network. And yeah, we'll head into networking right now. So yeah, a big thank you again for being here, for sharing your presentation. It was lovely to have you. It was great to be in person. A big thank you to Platform Calgary for hosting us. We love being here, love doing these virtual and in-person events. It's a lot of fun. So a big round of applause to you for being here. So for the networking today, try and introduce yourself to 3 people that you may not know and think about how you can pay it forward. I also found these really cool coffee cards. So if you didn't receive one, please come find me and let me know. But there's a spot for you to put your name, what you want to connect about, and a way to contact yourself. So if you want one of those and you want to pass those out to people, please come find me and let me know. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And it was a pleasure to see you all, and let's connect and have some fun. Thanks again.
Amber, can you hear us at all?
I completely realized I forgot community announcements, so we're not done yet. Does anyone have any community announcements? I'm going to do a plug for the podcast. If you haven't heard, we have Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast supported by the support about Rainforest Alberta. If you're interested in being a guest or a host, let me know, and we'd love to have you. Does anyone have any announcements? No? Okay, great. Now we can go into networking. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, that's hard to coordinate. I did just put something in for announcements. Myself and Zach Novak will be hosting an event about the business of community. So how building community can help support your business outcomes. And we're going to have special guests from Alberta-born company Spontively, who are a community platform for business. And they're going to be talking about how community business strategies are thriving in the US, and they actually had to move their company down to the US because of the buy-in down there and lack of up here in Canada. So Zach and I hope to bring more awareness to this topic up here in Canada. So join us for that. Al's thrown his LinkedIn in there, which is great. If anyone else wants to throw in their LinkedIn and wants to connect that way, we can. And then I also am going to queue up the breakouts, which I just had, and somehow they disappeared. Okay, so we'll head into breakout rooms. If it's your first time here, this is your chance to connect with others in the community, make an ask, get to know each other, offer some help. And because some people just dropped off, I'm just going to bring the number of rooms down, and we'll have time to probably do a couple of these. So you can click join room now. Enjoy.